Peace, Black family. So Dr. Umar just did an interview on The Breakfast Club, and he said something very impactful, very interesting. Let's take a look.
Meaning, most black people feel the only people they need to be accountable to are whites. They can never answer to a black person. This is why if you talk to any black supervisor or black manager, they'll tell you they get more help from their black employees than their white ones.
Some people might say that is a stretch, but let me tell you something from somebody who has worked in management and had supervisor positions before. I can tell you some of the most hardest people to deal with and to instruct were African people. But soon as the Yorugu came around, everybody got in line. And this speaks to our self-hatred as a people. And this goes way back. Let's take a look at what Carter G. Woodson says about authority when dealing with other black people in his book, The Miseducation of the Negro. Now, take in consideration that Carter G. Woodson wrote the book, The Miseducation of the Negro, in 1936. And he says right here, and I quote, "Hundreds of employees of African blood frankly say that they would not work under a Negro. One is afraid that the other may prosper more than he does and be recognized accordingly." He goes on to say, "A head of one of the government departments in which Negro women are employed to do unskilled labor reports that he placed in charge of the group of these workers an intelligent colored woman who seemed to have all the necessary qualifications which he had found in other women thus employed. Those working under her, however, refused to obey her instructions, kept the place in turmoil, and soon destroyed the morale of the whole force. As soon as he placed a white woman in charge, however, order was reestablished on the premises and everything moved along smoothly." Let's see what Booker T. Washington has to say about black authority in his 1901 autobiography, Up from Slavery. And I quote, "I have heard it stated more than once, both in the North and the South, that colored people would not obey and respect each other when one member of the race is placed in a position of authority over others." This is 1901. Does that still ring true today? Now, let's take a look and see what Marcus Garvey has to say about authority and blackness. And I quote, "We must give credit to the great white race, to the extent that they will fight among themselves, that they will cheat each other in business, but when it approaches the future and destiny of the race, a halt is immediately called. Not so with the Negro. He does not know when and where to stop hurting himself." When I tell you all these things still reign true today in 2024, the interactions in the black community and in the workplace kind of reminds me of the story Mrs. Nelson is Missing. This woman right here was the original Karen. For those who are my age and older, if you know, you know. The kids in room 207 had never worked so hard. That's the whole point that I'm making. Because when Miss Nelson was there, everybody disrespected her and slacked off. But soon as Karen showed up, everybody got some act right. Now, of course, I know a lot of us may have supervisors and managers who act just like Samuel L. Jackson on the Django. But for those managers and supervisors who are actually black and actually cool, why are you giving them a hard time? In conclusion, stories are not told without reason. They all have purpose. So when you think about black people in the workforce, think about this book right here.
Meaning, most black people feel the only people they need to be accountable to are whites. They can never answer to a black person. This is why if you talk to any black supervisor or black manager, they'll tell you they get more help from their black employees than their white ones. Because whenever we see black authority, we rebel against it because we've been trained to believe that black people are worthless. And if you yourself is worthless, how much more worthless will be your authority over me? Until we do something about the collective self-hate of African people, we will never change anything else.